BitTorrent had a big and massive run at the beginning of this year, but then it also took a big hit and lost a lot of its value. So are we going to recover from that hit, and are we going to see a new all-time high? Watch till the end to know. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. This is King, your host, and today's video is for pure educational purposes. If it's your first time in the channel and you happen to like this video or any other content of mine, please make sure to subscribe and smash the like button, and also share it if you think it's worth sharing. Now let's look at the chart. Now I decided to start analyzing BitTorrent on the weekly chart because there are two important takeouts that we have over here. First of all, the most major support area that we have for BitTorrent is the area around 0.2 of a cent or 0.002. Before breaking outside this level, it used to be a resistance and it was retested twice. Once was around 2019 in May, and the other one was this year in March before it broke out and continued all the way up. However, the price started pulling back and came to the same level to retest it and turn it into support. So this spot over here was the lowest price point that the price retested before it ended its correction that we had in its fourth wave of the bigger structure. Now you can also notice that in addition to the support area around the 0.2 of a cent, we also have the price being held by the 50 SMA moving average. And as you can see, it has been holding the price so far because the price was rejected. In addition to this point, was rejected twice from the 50 SMA moving average. Once was in September and the second one was around last week. Now on the bigger picture, this structure that we have over here is a 5-wave structure. And this structure has started around March of 2020. So the initial run started here and that was the first wave. Then we had a correction and then we had the second run this year. And the fourth wave was the pullback that we've had until July. And now we're supposed to be in the middle of the fifth wave that is supposed to take us somewhere above this previous high. So it should break the previous high. And that's the bigger picture of this structure. Now, how high is it going to go once we break this? This is something we'll discuss later on in the video. And now I'll move to the daily chart to try and explain to you what do we have in this specific piece over here and how soon we could be moving into an impulsive movement in order to complete the fifth and the last wave of this structure. So this is the daily chart, and as discussed earlier, the correction or the fourth wave of the structure has ended at this point over here. So I would like to assume that from this point onwards we have started the new uptrend. Now, is it yet confirmed? Not 100%, but what we have so far from this point after we have ended the correction, we have made an initial impulse all the way to the previous high, the last high that we have formed over here. And now we're standing in front of two scenarios. The first one is that the correction after this initial impulse has already been completed, which means this was the three waves of the correction which formed together a contracting flat. So if this scenario is what's happening right now, this last movement that we have should be our next movement all the way to the upside. But there is another scenario as well that you should keep in mind. The second scenario suggests that we are in a complicated correction and we still have a little bit of down movement before going up further. And if this scenario was what we have right now, so after having this initial pullback, these three pieces together will be considered as the second piece, and then we should have one more down before continuing up from here. Now, I'm not lenient to support this second scenario because I believe the first scenario is more accurate and goes in line with the current cycle momentum that we have. However, it's important to keep in mind this option so that you don't get surprised later if this happens. The most important thing in either the first or the second scenario is going to be this price point over here, which was the 0.0052. This level is very important because as soon as we see the price crosses above this point, whether we go with the first or the second scenario, we'll have the new uptrend confirmed, because at that point we would have formed a series of higher highs and higher lows. So after pulling back all the way to the bottom over here, this would have been the low, and then we have formed a high, and then we have formed a higher low, and as soon as we cross this point over here, we would have formed another higher high. And this is the most basic concept that we can count on in order to confirm a trend reversal in the crypto or in any other financial market. Now, if this happens and the price breaks outside this point above the yellow line over here, the road from here to the previous all-time high, which was at around 1 cent point 3, is not going to be difficult because we don't really have any major resistance to block the price from going up fast at this point. But the important question remains here is, how far could we go above the previous all-time high? Now, if we go back to the weekly chart again, you can notice some similarity between the current pattern that we have here at this point and the pattern that we had in the second correction before continuing the trend up. Because right at this point we were trending up slowly, but we did not break the previous high of the initial impulse, and that's exactly what's happening over here. So I think it is safe to assume that as soon as we start going more impulsive, we would likely repeat a similar movement to the one we had in the third wave of the bigger structure. But because the third wave of any structure is always the longest, we can assume that the next run up is not going to be as high as we had in the first one. So we will copy this one, but we'll make it slightly shorter and we'll try to put it along the current movement that we have right now. And this is the result of what we have. So if we end up repeating a similar scenario here to the one we had in the third wave of the structure, this is the likely pattern that we are going to have next, because always history tends to repeat itself in cases like this. And if that happens, that's going to be around a high of 9 cents. So if we consider the current price of BitTorrent, that's going to be around 2,250% increase in price. Now, I don't really support this much growth. I'm not sure if it's gonna get all the way to that point or not. And for that, I will plot the Fibonacci retracement levels and see which one is more accurate. And after plotting the extensions, you can see that this scenario goes way above what we have in the current extensions. Now, if you ask my opinion, I personally believe that we could hit somewhere between the 1.618 Fibonacci retracement level and 3.618 Fibonacci level. And this will put us somewhere between 2.5 cents to 5 cents. So if the price ends up going towards these levels, we'll end up having a last wave somewhere over here. I could be wrong as well, and BitTorrent could have a great momentum and shoot all the way towards the 9 cents. So you can never really tell 100% at this point. But what we know for sure is that we are likely going to start trending up from this point onwards and break the previous high and then go up a little bit further. So this was it for BitTorrent. If you enjoyed this video, show some love and subscribe to the channel. Also hit the like button and let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Until next video, stay safe and see you later.